Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Always Bayern Chelsea show. Recording this one here on Saturday, August 2nd. A lot of news to get to, tons of transfers. Bayern Munich just beat Lyon 2-1 in a preseason friendly match. But yeah, I was actually away up north in the north woods of Wisconsin, and there was actually a lull in Bayern Munich transfer news before I went up north, and then as soon as I went up north, it was like every hour something was breaking. So we got a lot to talk about. I want to start by breaking down the preseason friendly because I think there's a lot to talk about with that one, and I want to remind you all that this is a video episode, so go ahead, subscribe to the Always Bayern Chelsea YouTube channel. We're putting out a ton of content right now, a lot of cool collaborations. Jim just did one with a Chelsea fan that'll be up by the time this episode goes up, assuming everything stays linear and nothing crazy happens. And we're going to be doing more collaborations. We're going to be doing preseason predictions and just all this cool stuff covering transfers and whatnot before the season kicks off here. But to be honest with you, it seems like the season's already starting. Like I said, Bayern had a friendly against the French side. Lyon won that one 2-1. And they play Spurs next week in a friendly, and before you know it, the Super Cup will be here, the Pokal will be here, the Bundesliga will be here. So we got a lot to do, and we're going to just keep putting out a ton of videos right now. So it's a super exciting time to be a fan. It's a super exciting time to hopefully be a fan of the channel as well. And yeah, like I said, I'm going to break down this match versus Lyon, and then I'm going to jump in and talk about a lot of the transfers and stuff surrounding Bayern Munich at the moment, because there sure is a lot of it. So, first things first, I mentioned the final score of this one here was 2-1. Bayern Munich won. Bayern Munich was the better team, definitely could have put more goals on the board in this one, but Vincent Kompany played a mixed bag lineup with a lot of youngsters, and then threw in 11 changes, completely changed out the entire squad at halftime, and again put in a mixture of vets and starters and youngsters and guys that will potentially not even be on the first team in the season. So honestly, good to see that, because in the preseason that's the time to do it, and you got to see what some of these guys are made of at the moment. So let's go ahead and run down this lineup that Kompany started with, and then when I talk through the match and get to halftime, I'll mention all the subs. So Neuer started in between the sticks, and it was not a bad match from Neuer whatsoever. Saw some good things out of him. Sacha Boey at right back. Boey was okay. I didn't see anything from him that would push him over the edge to me where I would say this guy's got to start. Still doesn't quite seem to be Bayern Munich quality. I thought the center backs did well on this one, Upamecano and Kim Min-jae. Rafa Guerreiro, again, I don't see him as a left back, even though that's what he's playing right now. Similar to Boey, I don't think he's really Bayern quality anymore at left back, but can certainly do some good things. And really none of these guys today were so bad where I was tearing my hair out or anything. To be honest with you, Lyon, they were solid, but they weren't going to be a team that's dangerous and extremely threatening and just peppering in shots. That's not who they are. That's not how they play. And yeah, that's just not what we got today. Wasn't expecting to get that. Especially in a preseason friendly. Midfield, we did see Tom Bischof and Leon Goretzka. Both of them I thought were solid. Bischof, I think, needs to do a little bit more if he really wants to solidify himself in this team because of the crowded midfield situation. But he wasn't bad. He had some nice moments in there, but again, just probably didn't do enough. And that midfield actually gets a little bit more interesting, because before the match, the news did break that Alexander Pavlovich broke his eye socket, I think is the reporting. It seems like Bayern Munich is just cursed, or people are making up new injuries that I didn't even know you could have. Bayern Munich players are getting. So, I mean, if you remember last season, Upamecano had surgery to remove loose bodies in his knee, season-ending surgery. It just seems comically like a joke at this point, the injuries that Bayern Munich are getting. So, season didn't even start, and Alexander Pavlovich, who was plagued by injuries and illnesses last year, and even a little bit in his debut season 2 seasons ago, is already hit with the bug. He'll be out 3 to 4 weeks according to reports, and we'll see if those reports are right or wrong, but he'll most likely miss the beginning of the season. The attacking setup was Lennart Karl at the right wing, Paul Wanner at the 10, Kingsley Coman at the left wing, and Harry Kane at the 9. Karl, I actually thought, had a pretty nice match. He showed me, I would say, flashes of what I want him to be, which is, a dangerous threat on that side there, right wing. He can play a little bit of left wing as well, but it sounds like he's going to be brought into the first team this year to be Michael Olise's backup on the right wing. And, Karl, he's one of those guys where it's yet to be seen what he can be, but he certainly has a lot of potential. Same with Paul Wanner, but Paul Wanner, again, similar to Bischof, I don't think Wanner really did enough today to solidify himself in the first team. Starting 11, I don't think, gun to Kompany's head, I don't think he's starting Wanner, even with Musiala out. So, again, it was nice to get some of these youngsters some minutes, especially in preseason, because you got to see what you have with them. And a lot of them are kind of guys who are on the cusp of making the first team, but probably aren't good enough to actually start these big matches. That's not to say that they could never play at all, but just if I'm playing Real Madrid or whatever, I'm not starting these guys. Kingsley Coman, I thought, did not look good on the left wing. It's a wonder to me why Kompany loves him so much there, but we did see Luis Diaz come in, spoiler alert, the new left winger in the second half. We'll talk more about him when I talk about the match a little bit more, but I'm hoping that Diaz will just get the starting nod over Coman, because Coman just disappointed me in terms of his finishing, his crossing, all that stuff. He's good with the ball. He has a great work rate, but Coman had arguably one of the ugliest shots I've seen in my life in this match, and I get it, it's just a friendly, so who cares? Who am I to complain about stuff like this? But man, oh man, he was trying to shoot at the goal and almost essentially shot closer to the corner flag than the goal and about 50 feet over the goal. So try to picture that, and you can see his shooting prowess. And Harry Kane up top. Kane was okay. Not Kane's best match, but do you really expect him to have his best match when he's not really getting any chances surrounded by the likes of Karl, Wanner, and Coman in this one? But I will say Kane did get robbed of a penalty, got dragged down inside the box on what would have been a free header. And, it's one of those where it's like, okay, he's going to score, so the defense is just dragging him down, and it wasn't called, and there's no VAR or any assistant referee checks or anything in this friendly, so it just wasn't called, and unfortunately Kane got robbed of a goal there. But yeah, ultimately we head into this match, and I, for one, I know a lot of Bayern fans were having these difficulties too, but I paid money to FC Bayern for FC Bayern TV. This match was exclusively streamed on FC Bayern TV. You can't get it anywhere else. Bayern's holding all the rights, trying to squeeze a few more pennies out of loyal fans like me, and I gave in, and I paid them for this match and whatever other friendlies are coming up, Tottenham, and there might be one or two more before the season, but it didn't work. Didn't work at all. For much of the first half, I was scrambling to catch highlights, to catch illegal streams, and half the screen is blocked by ads or whatever. So I was really struggling for a big chunk of this first half to figure out what the hell was going on. But I did my best, and I'll give you my rundown of it through that lens, I guess you could say. Not much happened in this first half. It was truly a friendly. It was pouring rain. I mentioned the Kane chance. Karl had a chance on a volley that he kind of missed. Kane skied a free kick, and those were pretty much the biggest chances. Neuer maybe had a couple saves in that first half, but overall, those were the big moments. We get into the second half then, and that's where the action kind of kicked up. And like I said, Kompany made 11 changes, just threw a completely new squad out there. So I'll read you the subs, and maybe talk a little bit about them, and just know that these are the subs on paper, but it's not like for like in all these cases. So if, for example, player X comes in for player Y, it's not like they're necessarily playing the same position, but here we go anyways. Jonas Erbig comes in for Manuel Neuer, and I actually thought Erbig had a good match, even though he did concede the only Lyon goal of this match. Wasn't really his fault, just like a lot of times last year. He was pretty much let down by his teammates. Jonathan Tah came in for Diad Upamecano. I thought Tah had a very good match, was one of the better defenders on the day. Kimmich in for Kim. Gnabry in for Coman. And I will say, by the way, it's just noticeable how much more controlled Bayern is when Kimmich is in there. So, I know the guy gets a lot of grief from Bayern fans, but he certainly controlled the pace of the match, and things turned around when he came in. Luis Diaz in for Karl, and it was great to see Diaz's debut for Bayern Munich. I'm really trying to get behind this guy, trying to get behind the transfer and give him a chance, as he will be most likely the starting left winger on Bayern Munich. Michael Olise in for Paul Wanner, and I mentioned Kimmich coming in and changing things. Michael Olise was through and through the man of the match, comes in and shows you, picks up right where you left off and shows you that he really is the budding superstar. And we found out that Olise was, a top player in the world last year. The way that he looks right now, and I get it, it's just a preseason friendly, but this year, Michael Olise truly could become like the best player in the world. That's how crazy good he is and how impactful he is. Konrad Laimer comes in for Sacha Boey. World of difference. Olise and Laimer on that right side, look out. Laimer, I thought, had a great game in this one. Laimer comes in and just brings another level, just brings another notch, turns it up to 11, and brings that aggression to this team, and it really helped out the attack. And then you have Kiala for Bischof. He's another youngster who I honestly could not tell you a whole lot about. And then Jonah Kusi Asari comes in for Kane, and Asari is kind of another one of those guys who's on that cusp of first team. Very young, has a great physical profile, but we'll see if he actually turns out. Stanisic in for Goretzka, and then Dybur in for Guerrero. So yeah, again, a nice mix of vets and established players and youngsters and guys who Bayern is really testing the waters with. I think a lot of these youngsters, like I said, were solid, but not quite good enough. And, for as much flack as Kompany takes for not playing these youngsters very much, I think every time they play, you can see why he doesn't. They're just not quite as, obviously, as established, and they're just not as good as the first team players on Bayern Munich. So that's no reason to not play these guys when Bayern's crushing a lower table team. But I get Kompany's mindset, even though he catches so much flack for it. Like I said, he's in between a rock and a hard place. You either play some of these youngsters and risk losing, and then risk having Bayern fans turn on you for that and losing your job. It's tough. At Bayern, you have to win every match. That's just how it is when you're head coach. So he's obviously focused on just that, winning every match, and he's going to do whatever it takes to do that. Now, is it always the right choice in the long run? Probably not, because I think there's just so many matches, and we saw it last year down the stretch. All these key guys were hurt, and you cannot risk that happening again this year. So while these youngsters, to me, proved that they're not quite ready, they were all decent, and I don't know. It's just another thing you learn in this match. So back to the match. In the 52nd minute was the first goal of the game. Luis Diaz gets taken down in the box, and Michael Olise steps up to take the penalty. This one was called a penalty, correctly called a penalty, and Olise, just confident as ever, nails it, and it's 1-0 at that point. And like I mentioned before, Diaz comes in and he was creating a lot of chances. It was good to see him. It was good to see the energy that he brought and the chance creation that he brought to the attack. Things really livened up when he came in on that left wing. Unfortunate that he couldn't score a goal in his debut, but yeah, just looked really good, I thought. And a lot of people might take this the wrong way, but he did remind me of Leroy Sané, who is so good at creating chances but just couldn't finish any. And part of the reason for that today were just nice saves. I'm not knocking Diaz and saying that, even though there's so many Zane haters out there that you might think that I am knocking him, but I'm saying he did the things that Zane did well. Luis Diaz did those things as well, so it's not a diss, but he reminded me of that in his ability to bring energy and create chances, but just couldn't get anything to fall today. And sometimes that's the luck of the draw. I think the jury's still out on the Diaz transfer, but overall I really liked what he brought, and it was just good to see him get some minutes and kind of link up with some of these guys, Michael Olise, Serge Gnabry, and again, Diaz just came in a few days ago, so it's like he's not going to be the most interconnected guy with the squad quite yet, but the hope is that he gets there. All right, and then shortly after that, we're looking at the 62nd minute. Michael Olise gets his second goal of the match, scores a brace, and essentially closes the door on this one. For the most part, we'll talk about what happens next, of course, but this goal happened off of a Jonathan Tah steal, Serge Gnabry assist, and it was just a nice link up, and Michael Olise, again, comes in and dominates and scores a brace, and honestly was close to a hat trick a couple of times. So yeah, the match goes on. Bayern's looking pretty good, pretty much in control. Again, Diaz is looking good. Limer, Olise looking very good. Urbeg made a number of nice saves in this one. I was pleased with Urbeg, but we did see the Lyon goal in the 82nd minute. Michael Olise loses the ball, which he does that sometimes. Again, nobody's perfect, I guess, and Olise is pretty close to it, but not quite, and as he loses the ball, and Lyon scores a pretty easy goal here. Nothing that Urbeg really could do on this one, but maybe pressuring Bayern a little bit as it's 2-1. I think, again, I mentioned this before, but Kimmich was a very good calming presence on the pitch where these youngsters could really turn around and pass the ball to Kimmich if they felt any pressure. And yeah, that's how things would end. Kusi Asari did miss a 1v1 with the keeper, but again, overall, I thought it was nice to see him, and I thought he did pretty good, but had a miss at the end there, and that's all that I can really remember happening in this game. Things got a little bit weirdly chippy. Somebody punched Kimmich in the face way off the ball for some reason, so yeah, weird things happening there, but overall, a pretty standard preseason friendly that ended 2-1 in Bayern Munich's favor. A lot of guys got minutes, and yeah, that's how that one ended. Bayern has Spurs next week on Thursday in a friendly. Looking forward to that one, as that'll provide another challenge to kind of see where the boys are at the moment. But let's talk about some news that happened while I was away. I made some shorts about it, but yeah, there was just a lot of stuff. Obviously, the Diaz signing. I'm watching some Diaz hype fan cams and compilations and highlights to try to get myself pumped up about this. I won't lie and say that he was my preferred signing. There were a couple guys that I would have rather had over him, but Bayern clearly wanted Diaz and they got him, so it's time to back him and go all in, and we'll see what the season brings for him. But yeah, Adam Aznou over to Everton on a permanent deal there. Sounds like some things were coming out where Aznou really just wanted to get playing time and he wasn't going to get it, even with the injuries of Alphonso Davies and Hiroki Ito. So Adam Aznou permanently gone to Everton. Bryan Zaragoza on loan to Celta Vigo. I believe there is an option to buy. Or actually, sorry, I think it's an obligation to buy with this one, depending on how high they finish in the table and maybe some basic stats and appearance things for Zaragoza. But yeah, he never really got a chance at Bayern Munich, and I just think he was not a good signing, to be honest. I don't know if he is quite Bayern Munich level quality. I don't think he really fits in with this squad, so he'll be most likely gone permanently eventually, but right now it's a loan deal. It sounds like Zvonarek is being loaned to Grasshopper Zurich, Bayern's partner club over there, to get some development. Good move for him. He needs to develop a little bit more, I think, and hopefully he can do that in Zurich. Now, another interesting one is João Palhinha, likely going to Tottenham for a $30 million, I should say, a loan with a $30 million buy option. Palhinha just doesn't fit under Kompany's system. He seems like a good number 6 destroyer type midfielder, but I don't think he's very good with the ball at his feet, and that's clearly what Kompany needs. So he'll be going to Spurs, and in a move that really, quite frankly, seems to be the best for his career. Hopefully it works out for all parties, and Spurs have a reason to trigger that option to buy for $30 million and do it, because I think that's just best for both parties at this point. I can't say enough good things about Palhinha's character, though. He's always said all the right things and trained hard. Wanted to make Bayern's, starting 11, and it just didn't work out, and it doesn't seem like there really is a path forward for him with this team. Now, I waited to talk about this one, but yes, Thomas Muller officially leaving Bayern Munich. After 25 years at the club, since he was a boy, his boyhood club, Thomas Muller leaving, signing with Vancouver Whitecaps in the MLS after Bayern Munich kicked him out the door and slammed it on his way out. And I did just make a video talking about Thomas Muller's full career at Bayern Munich, so I'd appreciate it if you watch that one. And if you want to know more about why he is truly a legend, please watch that video. But yeah, Muller maybe sticking it to Bayern on the way out and not signing with their partner club, LAFC. I think that Vancouver seems like a good enough spot for Muller in the MLS in terms of lifestyle. It's probably similar to Bavaria, where he lives now, than LA would be, or some of these other cities, Chicago, New York, whatnot. Maybe I'll be able to catch Muller live in America, in Chicago, or a city close enough to Milwaukee where I'll be, because he's going to be there doing the thing for Vancouver. We'll see at the end of the day how it turns out for him. I just am happy to see him going out on his own terms, picking where he wants to go. It is unfortunate to see him leave. Hopefully things go well for him in the MLS. I think that's really the main things I wanted to hit on. Also, very, very tragic and unfortunate news broke the other day. Sven Ulreich lost his son, his boy, young boy passed away, and that's just super sad, super tragic. So obviously condolences to Sven and his family, and he just signed an extension for this year, so he will be back with the team as kind of that leader in the goalkeeping room alongside Neuer and Urbig. Ulreich will kind of just be a backup, but is a good veteran presence there. And again, just super, super tragic and sad about his son. But I think that's about going to wrap things up for this episode. I think I covered really everything I wanted to cover. The Lyon match, the transfer news that happened, and again, please subscribe to us here at Always Bayern Chelsea, because we have a ton of stuff coming, collaborations, preseason predictions, and we're going to be rolling in hot to the new season, covering transfers and friendlies and all this stuff. So really appreciate you checking us out and watching this video, and subscribing to the channel. Leave a comment with what you think, send a like, all that stuff. It really means a lot to us. And again, all I can say is thank you, and Mia San Mia.